Welcome back to the Development Tank, guys. Pumped for today. Claire's back and we're going regional. Regional Victoria. We're up the top. We're up near New South Wales. Lakeside town. We've had a client come to us, multiple townhouses to manage, but the KPIs and criteria is different because of where we are. So keen to unpack that with Claire. Let's get into it. Thanks for coming in, Claire.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So excited to get into this one. We have gone regional, which is exciting, one that you've got up to a couple of times. But yeah, keen to hear about the strategy and what the client needed from us and how you approached it.
Yeah, this was a really interesting one when it came across our desk. So there's a group of investors, and one of them is a previous investor, I guess, on another couple of developments.
Yeah, great.
So that's how it landed on our desk. It's probably our furthest development, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say so, for sure.
Potentially something we entertained because we know the area quite well from growing up around that spot. Just with contacts back there, it probably gave us the confidence that we're going to have enough networking there to be able to pull off a great product in the end.
Yeah, great. And I think, like you say, the client was known to us. The client that was inside the syndicate was known to us. But the fact that, contacts up there are pretty good and networks are up there, we were confident we could provide enough value to the client to, justify a collaboration up there. So, yeah, excited and, in the lakeside town of sunny Yarrawonga, which is pretty exciting.
Sunny Yarrawonga. So just to give some context of where we are, we've got Melbourne here and we're
up the Hume Highway.
I don't know where the Hume Highway is here. Probably this way and then across, I would say.
Yeah.
But northeast.
You've only driven it 900 times, but yep, beautiful.
So northeast and all the way up north of Wangaratta. So we zoom in right on the border.
Yeah, awesome. And looks like we're pretty close to the water there, Claire, which sounds pretty exciting.
So Lakeview's just, I would say.
Okay.
You definitely get a sense that you are right near the water. Obviously, that's not as built up. And when you're on that top balcony, which we'll go through plan shortly, you get a glimpse of that lake, the lake view. If anyone's been up there, it's lake for days with sort of old tree logs sticking out of it. So we've got the site highlighted here, which, like we said, right on that lake. And the town centre. So It's under a 3K walk. It's probably about a 3K walk once you curve along the lakeside into town. And then I believe, if I'm correct, the new, probably a year or so old now, Siebel, which has opened just around this bend. So it's about a K away, or probably 1.5 if you're walking.
Yeah, amazing. And good walking trails, waterfront the whole way. That's just a nice walk to get a coffee, really, isn't it?
Very developed area now, Yarrawonga.
Yeah.
So this is all new estates as you're coming into the township. You've got a lot of retirement villages. You've got the golf course. It's from, I guess, speaking to local agents, it's very much a place that people do retire. So they'll move from Melbourne and they'll settle in Yarrawonga because of, I guess, the precincts that's being created there.
Great area, great infrastructure. And that's probably what our investors and our syndicates probably looking to take advantage of, that lifestyle.
So maybe if we just dive back a bit of the story from the investors. So without going too in depth, there's a few moving parts to this one, but ultimately they bought this highlighted area.
Yep.
So this whole block, Marine Parade or Marine Avenue, and the top here, the top six up the waterfront is what was developed first as the investors.
Yeah.
And so that's been done. They've finished those. But ultimately, what they've come to us with is the 9 remaining. So they've completely subdivided these 9 lots. So the lots are there. They're clear. They could sell them. I believe they've tried to sell them over the years, even sell them on to developers, not just individual land purchasers. But ultimately now they can't sell them. So they need to develop them and sell them that way.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something like this, sometimes to try and get out of the development. As we say, the margin, usually lives at the end for any or for most property developments, and to sell them individually when they are connected can be sort of tricky. You potentially could end up with 4 houses that are attached with all different builders and all different owners, and can get pretty messy. And unless you can find a developer to take on the whole lot, you can be left looking to finish them off. So obviously that's what these guys are looking to do.
I should note, they also went through COVID, so construction prices dramatically increasing.
Yeah, good point.
The country resale prices have been pretty good because a lot of people skipped Melbourne and went to the country. So prices back in Yarrawonga or Wangaratta region have been pretty generous, which I think is going to hold them in good stead just with the construction price increases. But all these factors, I guess, the guys trying to get out of it, this probably played a role because they've now got to front up a lot more money. So, and probably something we'll jump into now and talk about, we're not actually building all 9 of them.
Okay.
So we're just building lots 7 and 8. Again, for that, let's try and sell those and then carry those sales and construct the rest from that income.
Yeah, makes sense. So build 2, sort of create a couple of displays, prove the concept, don't outlay too much money, and by the sounds of it, do them quite, bespoke and hopefully sought after, that they might be able to sell some of the other ones off the plan, or even sell these ones to help then bankroll the other ones. So
I'll just jump into this plan. So this gives you a really clear shot of what we're working with. So this is the site that we just saw on Land Checker. Again, you've got your 6 completed townhouses at the front, and then again, highlighting these 2, lot 7 and 8, they're the 2 that we're building. And like what you just said, creating that display, we are doing the 2 best. So these I would say get the best view. They're closest to the water, slightly larger than the rear ones here. Ultimately, they're very much they're a cookie cutter in floor plan, but these will, I would imagine, fetch the highest price.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And you just sort of do them well, and hopefully people can see value in the other ones.
So I guess the investors, when they came to us, they're very big. They don't have the time or resources to be managing this.
Yep.
But also really, I keep hearing them, it was a really big marketing play. So they're strong on marketing. They wanted to bring a bit of Melbourne to the country, while not overcapitalising and being aware of how much you spend in the country. There's always a ceiling wherever you are. What the buyers are looking for, that was very important. But can we produce something that isn't, I mentioned earlier that it's a very new estate area, so a lot of volume play back sort of in the surrounding blocks. Can we produce something that is a little bit more custom without going crazy on price, but being that point of difference?
Yeah, for sure. It's the ultimate cost to value sandwich, isn't it? Where you have to just create enough value to separate yourself from everything else, but not blow the budget as well. So, excited to see what you guys tackled and how that come together.
Yeah, let's look at the floor plan. So I'll show.
So this coming with a town planning permit, you had floor plans that were dropped on your desk, and knowing you guys, you've probably gone to work on them to refine them.
Yeah, absolutely. We had full endorsed set, which I believe it had been sitting there endorsed for quite some time. So opening up a can of worms with council was not the play. There was definitely didn't want to go back to advertising. We went back into council for a few changes, both from a buildability and cost perspective. So we changed out some bricks and we're using Hebel. So we changed a few elements externally, but then we also changed a couple of windows just for interior layout purposes.
Yeah, great.
So here's a typical floor plan. As I said before, they're quite mirror imaged along next to each other. This is, let's say, lot 7, so our first one. Ground floor, we've got double garages and a couple of bedrooms, bath and laundry downstairs. So reverse living to capture those views, lake views, but pretty basic in terms of what we're getting downstairs. Then if we move up to level 1, We walk in, we've got our kitchen, dining, family out to al fresco, which is the balcony with the views, and then our master.
Yeah, great.
So to be honest, floor plans, like we said, we were already through council, so didn't have heaps of play, but there definitely were a few tweaks that we wanted to make. Again, going back to what BuildHer do well, creating those moments. It would be great if we do sell one off the plan, but there's a good chance in this market that we won't, and we'll end up having buyers through at the other end. So creating those moments without spending too much money is really important.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so jumping into our updated plans that we worked with both the designer and the interior designer. We didn't do a whole lot to ground floor. We just made a few simple changes. So ensuring that we have a raked wall here to create some light through to both. There's a window on level 1. So just to create this to us, this entry was feeling very much like we were entering via a garage. So trying to create a nice entry here with some light was important. And then moving into the laundry, we just wanted to create more bench space. There's a good chance that this is going to be a holiday home.
Yeah, great. And I can see the store under the stairs is one that I've always loved. But yeah, some amazing storage in underneath the stairwell, which is great.
And then moving up to level 1, this is probably where we made most of our changes. So if you remember the kitchen, we had the fridge facing sort of towards the balcony, and this pantry was like behind a shut door. So we wanted to open this up. Again, we're reverse living. So in this market, we're probably not going to entertain someone retiring here because of the stairs unless they can retrofit a lift. However, if we're looking at the holiday market, this space is somewhere where there's going to be a lot of people and entertaining. So to make it sure it's open and practical and accessible, this is going to feel really great when you might have a couple of families residing there for a weekend or a week.
Yeah, for sure. Open those doors from the balcony, island bench, meals, living, pantry. That stone bench top along that kitchen wall is epic. So yeah, you can definitely feel the feels up there, and having bedroom 1, having the master on that same level. Once you're up there, you're pretty much settled.
We also removed a door here. So as you come up, this is sort of like a mud zone, drop zone. So we've got some nice hooks, some low level drawers, but again, creating that moment as you walk in instead of just walking up into a cavity slider. And then into the master, we added a skylight. We removed a window here which I'll show you in the renders, which we'll come to, but to create that really nice luxury master feel, having your full feature tiles behind the vanity, the mirrors, and the feature lighting. We couldn't do that previously with the window layout. So added a skylight, removed the windows to create a really luxury master feel.
Yeah, I like that. And that's natural light that's sort of always going to make that area feel good when the door's open and you're looking in there and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's a good move.
I guess ultimately we just wanted to take the overall design away from what is currently in Yarrawonga and what is spread across the new estates in Wangaratta. So even though they're not massive changes, when we get to the renders, you'll see that there's more feature tiles, there's a bit more joinery, there's going to be a stone, waterfall ends, just little things that you can, I guess, have a touch of that Melbourne in the country.
Yeah, nice. And I think from memory, that's what the clients wanted. They wanted to drag a bit of Melbourne up into these properties in Yarrawonga and try and drag some of the pricing up with it. So super important, and they really saw and understood the vision by the sounds of it, that we wanted to make these a bit more bespoke, separate ourselves from the other stuff that was on the market there, and make these feel a bit more special. And maybe, those sort of foreign investors coming up from Melbourne might appreciate the finer things and the finer details that have been considered here, and spend that bit more for that regional getaway.
Yeah, exactly. But then also at the same time, when we went through the tender stage, it was about finding what to spend your money on and what not to. So we really relied on a local agent who we've partnered with, Kyle Raven. He's been great to give feedback. So things that we would say do in our townhouses in Melbourne, like our timber engineered floor, it's currently in the build contract. It's something that we are open to bringing out and not putting the money into, because it's not valued enough in this area to be paying for.
Yeah, no, nice. And I think partnering with a local professional like Kyle, just to get that bit of insight into what's expected in the area, I think super important. Like we said earlier, bringing that bit of Melbourne into this area is great, but the danger is going to Melbourne into it and doing things that we don't need to. So like we do here in Melbourne, local expertise is super important.
I think another good example is the joinery in our townhouses. We often do full laminate joinery to all the bedrooms with feature handles, which is beautiful. But for downstairs and the walk-in robe, there will be a level of, I guess, finish, but it definitely won't be, we won't be putting, $8,000 a bedroom of joinery in, because if it is a holiday, no one really minds, and also no one's spending that much extra. Like we said before, there's always a ceiling depending where you are.
Okay, that sounds great. You've made some changes. Now, what sort of mood are we going for in these? What's your colour palettes? What have you decided on?
So again, the client wanted to have two different schemes. They wanted to have a cooler tone and then a warmer one. To give that, again, we've got 9 units or dwellings at the end. So to give that option to the buyer, if one does sell off the plan or one does drive interest, can I have the cooler scheme or can I have this scheme? And then if we are to move forward onto the other dwellings, they can select which finish they want ultimately.
Yeah, I think that's a great move. Just give them 2 options. Don't want to give them too much choice, but you might just pique someone's interest with with those tones. You don't want to assume So sounds like a great approach.
We did the warm in lot 8, so the warmer tones, and then we did the cool tones in lot 7.
Great work. Jump in the comments, guys. Do you like the warm or do you like the cool? I know which one I like.
Which one?
Cool.
We've rendered up the cool. So
fire.
What you'll notice is things like the flooring's the same, the tapware's the same. We have definitely had some efficiencies. I think the biggest thing for this job, which I guess if anyone is planning to develop sort of out of Melbourne or further away from your CBD, is just be mindful of the suppliers and the materials you are selecting. So we were very flexible on, I guess, who we use and where the material came from, for example. So while we sat and worked with the interiors team to get the right colour scheme and for example, this particular stone, Grey Tundra, was selected from Signorino, but will it be? It's not possible in Yarrawonga to expect a builder to pay for freight, pay for all those additional costs if you're still trying to hit that price point. So even with the tiles, the feature tiles, we've used 1 feature tile from Melbourne, and the rest we asked the builder and we worked with the builder and said, who do you work with? And our interiors team selected from those places.
Yeah, great. And it sounds like an awesome approach. And I guess wheeling it back to the interior designers doing the intent, but then for you guys to be able to sort of grab that and take that to a regional town and still execute on that intent, but potentially change up some suppliers. Sounds like it's working well.
Yeah, exactly. It's same with the carpet, the floorboards. We've got the samples of what we're trying to chase, but whether we use a hybrid or we use a engineered, it'll just be for that design intent with the colour.
Yeah, great.
So here's the renders. They're recently completed. We've worked with the team to get them finalised. As I said earlier, these are our hero dwellings. So lot 7 and 8, we played around with the colours a bit and we changed the brick out for render. Yeah,
great. They look pretty sharp to me. Really good.
Yeah, I really love them.
There's your boat trailer in the front there. But yeah, they look, and it really, it really depicts what the type of dwelling it is and the way you potentially live in it, with the cars and the, people looking like they're on holidays, they've brought their boat up, all that sort of stuff. So I think it really shows how they can be lived in and enjoyed. So, yeah.
And I think I've been up there a few times or over the years, but recently, and I think looking at the colours, we tried to just break it down to 2 and do what we do best in Melbourne and simplify that. they're not as common in, I guess, in the estate or around that area. There's a lot of different like brick cladding, tile cladding. There's a lot of different colours going on. I feel like these will stand out and look quite smart.
Yeah, no, they do. They will.
Okay, so this is the master ensuite that we were talking about before. Skylight, removed the windows at the back, but being able to create that luxury feel for the master occupant.
Yeah, no, it does look really high end, and I can see why you need to get rid of that window. But yeah, the skylight does really emphasise those materials. I like it.
And I think it's important looking at this. It's just a couple of wall lights. They're not super expensive. You can get bobble lights for, $150 each. But to add that, all of a sudden, you've had a bit of a touch from an interior designer and you've been able to create this, what looks like, what you would see in Hampton East, but we're doing it in Yarrawonga.
Yeah.
Okay, here is our kitchen looking out. So again, just slightly seeing that lake.
Yeah, and like you say, a little bit of a view there, but more so even just knowing where you are, appreciating where you are, and afternoons out there, having a beer, having a barbecue and entertaining.
I think that's the main thing. I'm laughing because we toyed around with this a lot. I think the first one that came through was all lake.
Yeah.
There was no house in front. It was just all lake. And we flicked it around as a team with all stakeholders, and like the clients were like, yep, love it. The agent was like, oh, I don't think we can do that. But it's funny because that is probably a true reflection of what you'll get. But when you're there and you're standing on that balcony, you feel that there's water rather than build up of houses. Yeah,
100%. I think being up there, knowing what it's like up there, it is quite spacious, and whether you can see a lot of it or, a slither of it, you know exactly where you are and how close you are to it. So, no, that's a great render.
And then this is another great render of the kitchen looking back. So this is, like I was saying before, we really opened up this space rather than closing off that walk-in pantry.
Yeah.
This is our, I guess, hero shot. We've added in, this is our feature tile, the only feature tile that we have got from Melbourne, but it was one that we've used on a development before. It's got a really good price point, and it was just about, again, bringing that little touch of design to the country.
Yeah, no, epic. Wall of kitchen there, wall of joinery and stone.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. Looks good. The double can lights, a great feature, which I wouldn't imagine you'd see across a lot of volume builds.
No, for sure. And well done. We'll get an update off you where the project's up to now so we can circle back. But I think well done to yourself and the Little Fish team for, I guess, dialing in those nice to haves, but not blowing the budget. There's no doubt that's going to come up really well. And on completion, when people go through it, they're going to be able to feel, the consideration that's gone into these. So please give us an update on where they are now.
So we're at frame stage. So frame stage is completed. We're at roofing. So
yeah, great. Bowling along.
He's moving really fast, actually. We'll probably head up there in the next week or so to do a roughing walkthrough, just to make sure we're comfortable before we move to plaster. But it is moving really well. It's been a great project, actually. I think what's challenging is that even though you've got budgets here to hit, it's probably a tighter budget just based on where we're at. And to be able to, I guess, someone to throw you a project and design and do the interior design with not as much care about the budget or the suppliers that you're using, this one's been a challenge, but it goes to show that wherever you are, you can still produce a really great outcome if you challenge what you're used to and what you usually use.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the skill set, isn't it? When you got these big budgets, it's easy to create something beautiful, but to be able to balance between both budget and spec, is definitely a skill set. So well done. Sounds like they're bowling along. We'll circle back with an update as we get closer along. And yeah, nice little project in regional Victoria.
Great project.
Awesome. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Peter.
Awesome, guys. If you're going to get value out of that, please like, share, subscribe. Share that with anyone that's going to get value up there in sunny Yarrawonga. Happy developing.